Miiverse. On paper, it's a horrible idea. In practice, it's one of the greatest things ever because of how horrible it was. If you watched the initial launch trailer of the Wii U and you thought, this thing needs Twitter, honestly, hats off to you because apparently Nintendo thought the exact same thing. Listen, I don't know about you guys, but in 2014 when I got my Wii U, one of the first things I wanted to get my hands on was Miiverse. As a 10-year-old, I had no access to any sort of social media, and honestly, looking back, I am eternally grateful for that because looking at the social media landscape now, it's kind of turned into So what the hell even is a Miiverse? Well, in 2012, when the Nintendo Wii U launched, Miiverse came pre-installed as an online social media app for all 15 Wii U owners to enjoy. For every title that launched on Wii U, a Miiverse community would come with it, which would allow you to share screenshots of your gameplay, ask for tips and tricks, or draw whatever your silly little heart desires to share to the world. Many games came with some sort of compatibility with Miiverse. They might have Miis posted up in the hub world, the ability to collect stamps to use in your posts, or you could even see lewd images while you played Smash Bros. There was actually a big selection of Wii U games that had some sort of Miiverse compatibility. Since it seemed like Nintendo was all in on Miiverse, they eventually opened up shop on the 3DS, and as well as a website allowing for everyone to get in on the action. The idea of an online community solely comprised of people that own Nintendo consoles was a really cool idea. I think especially because the Wii U wasn't the best-selling console in the world, the opportunity for rich discussion of all of our favorite games was immense. Was it used in this way? Kinda. There was definitely a large amount of people that used Miiverse for its intended purpose, and I feel like there's a common misconception that, oh, Miiverse was this abysmally failed service that nobody used in the way it was intended. And if you were there, that's just not really true at all. I remember talking about games all the time on Miiverse. I think that's mostly what I did on the platform. Do I represent the majority of users on Miiverse? Hell no. When you stuff a ton of children that just got a Wii U for Christmas into a social media platform, chaos is bound to ensue. Random gibberish and indecipherable drawings were a given, but if you look past all the kids that don't even realize they're posting a drawing of Koopa taking a dump, yeah, there's even more dumb shit. Trolls, online dating, role-playing were all staples of the Miiverse experience. Major communities like Netflix and YouTube, where the topics remain fairly ambiguous, is where most of this slop was posted. And if any of the posts that you made got too out of line, the Miiverse administrators kept you in check. These guys were like the goddamn Gestapo of Miiverse. If you came even close to violating their sacred code of conduct, which they treated like the 10 Commandments, you could get a warning, you'd get suspended, and if you were a repeat offender, they would take you out back and smack you up silly with the band hammer. The Miiverse admins were ridiculously strict. Even if you didn't violate the code of conduct, you could still get a warning or a ban and very seldom got any sort of appeal. I'm dead serious when I say this. I got banned for 2 weeks once because the age that I put in my bio did not match the age that I had put in my system settings. Hell, I even remember getting warnings for sharing my username so I could play online with people. These admins did not f around. For the first 2 years of the service, Miiverse had remained relatively unchanged. That was until July 2015, when the Miiverse communities were majorly redesigned to separate text, screenshots, and drawing posts into their own sections. I feel like this change didn't really take away or add anything to the experience of Miiverse. I mean, separating the kinds of posts into categories isn't going to help you find higher quality posts. It's all just bullshit made by 9-year-olds. Now, what did get implemented that did affect the experience of using Miiverse was limiting each user to 30 posts a day. I remember several instances when I saw a post that I really wanted to comment on and, have a thoughtful discussion about the games that I'm playing, but nope, I couldn't because I had already posted 30 times that day. All I could do was just sit and watch as I banged on the door asking to be let in, but nobody can hear me because they all have a handful of posts left. I don't even remember spamming being a big issue on the platform. Like, I'm sure it happened, kids are gonna be kids, but limiting every user to 30 posts a day is horrible, especially for a geek like me who like to actively interact with people on Miiverse. Although this update sucked and made Miiverse way less fun to use, people were still actively on the platform despite the multiple cries to revert the update. Things continued as normal and the website was pretty chill. That was until the Nintendo Switch was announced and not a single trace of Miiverse was in sight. Nintendo even announced that the Nintendo Network is going to be completely abandoned in favor of the Nintendo Switch Online service, which effectively meant that the Switch version of Miiverse was a lost cause. And 5 months after the Switch came out, the day of reckoning came. August 29th, 2017, Nintendo announced that Miiverse would officially be shut down on November 8th of that same year. Thousands of posts rained in asking for Nintendo to save Miiverse, but to no avail. The phasing out of the Wii U and everything to do with it was Nintendo's highest priority, especially since the Switch was doing so well. All users could do was wait for Judgment Day to arrive. On the final day of Miiverse, everyone had come together to celebrate this strange platform that we had all grown to love. Except for one community. This community had turned into an all-out war zone, filled with the most vile and disgusting posts ever made to Miiverse. Miiverse admins were taking people out like firing squads. It couldn't be contained. This community was the new Super Luigi U community. The new Super Luigi U community was one of the few communities that went completely unchanged for some reason in the 2015 update. And this is where everybody had flocked to post and post things that had nothing to do with Luigi.
Oh, yeah.
And while every other community was embracing each other and enjoying their last moments on Miiverse, the new Super Luigi U community was filled with phallic imagery, hypersexual images, and the most derogatory terms you could possibly think of. Not every community was spared of the new Super Luigi U-esque content. The more popular communities were definitely filled with some heinous stuff, but it was most potent on new Super Luigi U. The more niche communities were the calmest. It housed the more accepting folks. Think of it like an actual end of times event. The cities were filled with crime and looting, and the smaller towns are filled with people that are bracing for impact. And oh boy, did impact come, because once the clock struck midnight, boom! Now that Miiverse is gone, playing the Wii U feels like I'm in a ghost town. The big group of Miis when you open up the console, the Wara Wara Plaza, used to be filled with hundreds of Miis talking about the games that you have been playing, adding to this sense of community to the system. It's now completely empty, taken over by generic system tips and nothing else. Every game that was once filled with people around the world talking about where they were in their game, how hard the level they just played was, or the cool art they just made with a stamp they just got, it's now completely barren. Even if Miiverse was a little strange at times and it wasn't used in the way that it was intended, the amount of life it gave this generation of Nintendo consoles was so vital to the charm of these systems. No Nintendo console's core player base has ever felt as close as the Wii U and 3DS, which is crazy to think about because these consoles sold from jack to generally alright. The Switch has sold more units than these two systems combined, and yet the Switch player base has never felt as close as the Wii U and 3DS did, and I think that I can confidently say it was because of Miiverse.